Hey everyone, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching the channel as always. Got a similar mower that I actually had this time last year. It's a Craftsman Self-propelled 22-inch with the Eager 1 Tecumseh engine on it. It's got some carb issues. It's been sitting a while, and it has a gas tank leak. So we're gonna see if we can save this mower by cleaning the carburetor on it. A lot of times with Tecumsehs I don't have very good luck with it, but we'll put a carburetor, or excuse me, we'll clean the carb, put a power bulb on it, and we'll put a gas tank on it while we're at it. So we've got a few things to do here. The blade looks sharp. The mower, the deck itself looks like it's in pretty good condition. So, and it seems like the self-propel works as well, so that'll work out okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you around on it. Again, if you have any questions about this video or any video you see on the channel, feel free to reach out to me, ellis@ellismowers.com or at ellismowers09 on Instagram and Facebook. Let's go ahead and get started on this Eager 1 Craftsman, to see if we can get this Tecumseh engine going again. Alright guys, so here it is. This is this Eager 1 Craftsman 6 horsepower Tecumseh and 22-inch cut. Got a mulching deck, got 2 different tires on it. I'll see if I can find one that has the same tread as this. Gas tank, I learned, leaks a little bit. Air filter's actually in decent shape. This one's got the throttle cable set up on it. The primer bulb is sitting right here, and it's pretty, well, it's not that bad. It's just doesn't seem like it's got a lot of rebound to it anymore. I don't really see where it's that dry rotted either. Got a little bit of cracks and whatnot, but I don't know. But I do know that, like I said, air filter looks good. Gas tank leaks from the bottom somewhere. It's not leaking from where you, from the what would be the outlet to the carburetor. So I know it's not leaking there. But we have a little bit of work to do to get it off. I'm going to get it on this bench here. We're going to take off this 1/2-inch nut and just see how bad it is before we dive into fixing the rest of it. So again, this is, if you want to guess the year of this, it's gray. I don't know if I've seen the year or not, but if y'all want to guess before we look at the model number, anybody guess? The last one I had last year was a 94. I think this is probably around the same year. We'll see. So it's a 917-376-281, made 1/22 of 96. So 1996 is this one. So this is a little bit later one than I thought. It's before they started changing over to the greens and the new style decks. So we got that going for us. And a little bit newer than I thought. Like I said, blade's in great shape. Cables are in good shape. Drive is in good shape. And it locks in like it should. So let me get it on the bench. We'll go ahead and take off everything I need to take off in order to get to the gas tank and the carburetor. Alright y'all, so I went ahead and took the bowl nut off the gasket. The bowl looks a little Bowl gasket looks a little Main jet looks okay. I don't know if the bowl gasket's going to seal properly for this to run properly anymore, but we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not sure. Because y'all know my rule of thumb usually is if the Tecumseh carb ain't working right, replace it. But I'll see if I can let it sit overnight. I'm going to spray, see if I fix it, if it'll sit overnight and still work. We'll make sure that we get the little hole that's in the jet right here fixed. And everything else looks pretty good on it actually, like the float and whatnot. So I'm going to see if I can just clean the jet out and put this bowl back on. Oh, well, obviously clean the bowl too. See if we can just get it to stay running for. Like I said, I'm not really, this bowl gasket really isn't one that's making me do jumping jacks over. It's pretty rough, so we'll see what we can do with it though. Alright, y'all. I have decided, looking at the condition of especially the bowl gasket and knowing that those are a common cause for sucking air on these Tecumsehs when they need to be sealed fairly tightly, I have decided to go ahead and put one of these on. So we're going to go through this process. I don't like messing with Tecumseh carbs because they burn me so many times trying to get them fixed, and I don't really like to experiment too much with stuff that goes out the door. While we're here, I've got to replace the pull rope and all that stuff too, so I'm going to take the cover off, which is just 3 3/4 inch bolts. And oh, there's 4. There we go. And that'll at least get that off for me. Keep those close. This cover will come off as well, and that will reveal your gas tank. Now the gas tank on this is leaking as well, so we've got to do that also. Fun times, right? While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and take off this pull rope. Which is just those 2/4 inch screws, and this will kind of take that just kind of get it out of the way for now, and that reveals a lot here. So what I like to do is I like to take off the intake in order to get the carb fixed, which is this one's got a throttle set up, so we're going to take the 5/16 off the top here. Like I said, that's the throttle setup. We can just remove that from the top hole. So the throttle setup goes on the top hole. This thing, oh yeah, this definitely, because this even right here is kind of rusted. It's kind of difficult to get both of these nuts off with the way that everything is set up. So like I said, I like trying to take the intake off here. As long as it comes off, then you're in good shape. And it's just, you can use screws as long as it's not that bad. And you can gotta kind of, the one right here is the hardest. So let me find a screwdriver that'll work here. Because I need I can't use one that has the adaptable bits, mostly because of the thin access to the screw. So there we go. You can take the exhaust off as well, and that would give you much easier access. You just risk, if these are rusted, breaking the bolts off in the head, and then you're kind of out of luck. So what we can do now, well, we just took that spring off of the linkage, so that's okay. We'll get it back on in just a second. I'll go ahead and put it back on so I don't forget about it. Need to put it on the other way though. There we go. So it's going to go on like that. We'll just set it aside for the moment. Grab some pliers. Hopefully I can just pull. Well, we're going to replace this fuel line anyways, aren't we? So let me just and the gas tank. So I could literally take all of this and just pull it all off. Because the gas tank's not leaking where the fuel line is, it's leaking on the bottom somewhere. So pull it up. Yeah, there's your crack in the gas tank. So that's, well, we'll say the gas cap, but the rest of it is in the trash. What we need now is a 3/8 and a 7/16. I could probably use a wrench and socket. Might need a second wrench for the so it's the 3/8. Come down here with me. There we go. That is a locking nut there, so you're probably going to be okay. Might need to get, yeah, we got to get a, see if the wrench will just take it off. Because we got to get this off. Have to double wrench it here. And this, I found this to be easier than trying to access it on the mower. When I take the intake pipe off, it just seems like it's a lot easier to do this. So, good, even the gasket stayed on here, so I don't even know if I'm going to try and pull the... I have a gasket to replace it, but that gasket's in really good shape still. And it came off complete, so this is pretty much as good as trash, except we're going to get these screws off, which I got to get at the 1/4 inch again. So we're going to get that off. There's a ring in here that we need to make sure that stays with it, because it does not come with a new carburetor. So here's that O-ring. It's going to fit right inside here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to find, well, I can chuck this carb basically because we're not going to use it, along with the bowl, the jet. I'll keep the gasket because the gasket's in good shape for the I got so many of these jets. This gasket is actually good and I could use it for a few things. What I need to do now is I need to find gas tank and just all the proper tools I need to put this back together. Alright guys, so this is how at least this one was set up when I got it. I don't know if it's 100% correct. We're going to try it see if the governor and everything reacts like it's supposed to. But what we've got going on, my goodness. So that throttle right there, I guess, enacts a spring to bring the governor back. And so we got the carb on. Again, I screwed it back here. This has the newer style PCV setup, but the PCV setup is different on this, so it doesn't plug into the carburetor like on some of the later models. And so this is how everything looks. Again, throttle is going to be in that near hole on the far side of the carburetor, the one that hooks to the bottom here, and the one that hooks on the top here to adjust the throttle is on the top hole. I could have it backwards. That's the way that it was set up on this, though. New fuel tank is in. My next order of business is to get this pull rope fixed or replaced. It's just dry rotted, and I know that after a few pulls it's probably going to break. So what I have to do is, man, I don't want to have to. Here's what I'll do. I'm gonna pull it out. I will lube it up after I finish this too. Tecumsehs are hard to get in because of just simply the way that they're made. I'm gonna grab a screwdriver. I don't know where all my screwdrivers have gone apparently. And just hold it like this. And then next, all I'm going to do, this thing was about to pop out anyways. I don't know how it didn't come out as it is. See if I can pull this thing out and cut it. Oh, it's in there with a staple, that's why. I've never seen this setup before. That's interesting. Probably means this is the original pull rope on this thing. Which to have lasted 26 years is pretty good. It seems like it would still work too. We just gotta get it out now though, because we're gonna just use the old-fashioned knot. But I've got to find something to get it out with. This is a first for me. I've never seen pull rope like this before. Those pliers are too weak. I'm sure these pliers are too big. Anyways, the end goal is to get this staple out. There's one side. There's the other. Theoretically, this should just pull out now. Of course it's not. Ah, oh, come on. I'm going to work on getting that out. Once I do, I'll let you know what I ended up doing to get it out. And then we will continue on. Alright guys, so as a result of the way that was, and I told you that Tecumsehs are really hard to get these ropes in. I ended up going with a smaller rope. And I know some people are going to be like, it's not going to be strong enough to pull this engine. It'll be just fine. It's more like a weed eater type pull rope. So what I've got to do now is, this has got a staple in it too, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Man, at least they built them to last, so to speak. Like, yeah, let's put some staples in this thing. And then you got to take a screwdriver and pry out the staple. Good news is, once you do that, you can just use regular knot and just cycle it through, because you can see it kind of goes through the top there. So I'm going to get this staple out. Remember, a lot of times I use the old rope and cut the new rope to length if I'm able to use the old rope for a length reference. If not, I try to recoil this about 5 or 6 times, put the rope in here, and then I go and recoil it back and cut my length according to that. Let me get the staple off, and I'll put this recoil back on, and we'll be ready to rock and roll, hopefully, to start this thing up. Alright, y'all, went ahead and replaced both of these things. Reason being is I did not have, it still doesn't want to go forward like it should, but I guess when the belt turns it'll help. One of the wheels is stripped here in the back, and like I said, the other one's pretty worn. That'll be good if I need just one wheel, but this mower was kind of too nice to not do that, or to have mismatched wheels, so I just went ahead and put new wheels on the front for the self-propel. So we're going to see how well this works. Hopefully it works okay. I've done my best to grease up everything in here, so it seems like it just needs a little bit of run time at this point. So we'll see what happens here. I'm going to get it off. Again, I got all this pull rope and stuff back together. And the oil is okay to run for a test run, and the cables are good. So I'll get it down, I'll put gas in it, and we'll see what we have. Alright guys, let's give it a start. It's rolling okay. These wheels don't quite mesh as well with the little plastic covers, so they're a little tight. I think the more that I run them, the better it'll be though. And also, who knows how long it has been since it's rolled a decent ways too, so. Oh, come on. Wants to. So I think the throttle setup is wrong. I don't think it's picking up RPMs like it should. So, and we've got it leaking. Of course, now it's leaking on the back side here of this carburetor, so that's good. Exciting. So something going on with the way that I hooked the throttle up, and of course the carb's leaking. It's like it's bowl got stuck or something. So let me work on this and see what I can figure out. I will get back to you when I do. Alright guys, so the needle ended up getting stuck, I think from where I blew into the carb. But as you can hear, it'll run. The problem is, I think whoever had this originally hooked it up backwards. Because when I give it the throttle manually like that, it'll pick up. So I think my issue is I don't have the throttle linked up right, but we can fix that fairly easily, I think. I think on this carburetor, since the spring is supposed to, I guess, counteract, because they're working together right now, and then instead of working, they're working together to close the throttle. So my guess is that I need to put the throttle on this side of the carburetor. I don't do enough Tecumseh to have known that, unfortunately. So let me do that, see if that does any better. I'll show you the final setup, or I'll show you what I'm doing first, and then I'll show you the final setup of what I've got. Alright guys, I got it figured out. Now I've got to figure out what's wrong with the self-propel. It's a belt issue, I'm almost positive. Because the wheels lock, but they won't turn. Anyways, the issue I had was, and anybody who's versed in Tecumseh will know, I didn't know what the linkages were. I had them backwards, guys. The fixed linkage goes from the arm to the carburetor, and the one with the spring goes from the governor arm to the throttle, as opposed to what I did previously. Checking for leaks just to make sure it is not leaking. This actually does have an adjustable needle and seat arm on it, and I was able to get that fixed. So I think, or get that dialed in. So I think, let me put the air filter back on. It's been a while since I've worked on one of these, and the linkages always get me on these, and it got me on this one too. So we've got the running thing figured out, thankfully. Now I gotta get the self-propel figured out, because I put new wheels on it. And I was like, oh, the self-propel worked, because when I checked it, it locked in. So that I know at least the gears are working okay. The gears and the self-propel are good. So I'm gonna take that cover off and see what I've got going on inside there. Alright guys, well, this is turning out to be pretty crappy here. I didn't get the throttle right. However, that's running fine now. The problem is, this right here has bit, the self-propel has bit the dust. It's not even turning. The gears are stripped inside of it. So it's not even trying to turn the wheels anymore. So I'm like, goodness gracious. So now I guess I'm just going to disassemble all the self-propel portion of this and make it into a regular push mower at this point. I mean, goodness. Definitely not worth my time and effort to really work on much anymore, but we've got it running right, so let me get rid of this self-propel and we'll just make it into a regular push mower. you win some, you lose some, guys. And this one's thought was going to be easy with the carb replacement, and ended up not. So that's not the best, but that's all right. We will. I'll get rid of all this right here, and we'll end up having what hopefully will be a decent lawnmower at the end of all of this. I've got to remember exactly how I can take this off, because this kind of is like a support mechanism for the self-propeller for the front wheels. So let me get this mess off, and I'll be right back with you with kind of a finished product, hopefully. Alright guys, so part of the problem ended up being the bearings in this side were gone. So I bet it seized it up and froze up everything. And then that was probably why that wheel got stripped out. And it was trying to strip this one, but I caught it before it did any more damage to where I can't use it on another mower, so that's fine. What I do usually at this point is I'll take the cables and such off, but usually what I will do, I'll grab my tripod, we'll turn it over, and I'm just going to grab my angle grinder with a cutoff wheel, and I just cut the shaft off. So what I usually do is I usually cut it like right here somewhere, to where you can get it off. And obviously I got to get this thing out too, this plastic piece, but it should cut itself whenever I do that as well. And then this mechanism just slides out. I just take the cables and the spring off it, save it for another day, because you never know. But yeah, man, I hate it for this, because it's a nice condition mower, but the self-propel stripped out of it. Let me get a cutoff wheel and I'll roll with getting this self-propel cut. Alright guys, one more thing before we actually see the finished product and go through it. Y'all saw I upgraded the pull rope. The old pull rope that I tried for the 2-cycle did not work. It ended up breaking after a few tries, so I put the proper pull rope in. Ended up having to drill some holes out of this handle, and then also the actual, like, where it mounts to the recoil. I had to drill holes out in order to get this in, because it's ended up being a little bit bigger and not able to go in. In terms of the self-propel, I took off the self-propel handle here, and ended up finding a handle that fit on a regular push mower of this type, vintage Craftsman here, and was able just to make it a nice clean swap. So the only evidence that of there being a self-propel is this cover here now. If that cover wasn't there, it would just be basically a regular push mower. Those are the two things that I missed. Y'all see a bag. I'll cover everything here in just a second as we close this video out. Alright guys, we're going to show the final product here for this Craftsman Eager 1 that the self-propel is stripped on. What I ended up doing is I put the old wheels back on, because I want to keep the good wheels for an actual self-propel mower. This gear was stripped. This one right here you see is pretty worn out. They're going to work perfectly fine for a push mower. We're going to let it ride. This thing really did clean up nicely. I brushed off the wheels, and they turned out really nice and white. You can see that one's a little bit off white, and that one's even better. So that's really turned out really good. Found a bag in my shed that fit right on this thing, so it's got a nice lift top 2.4 bushel bagger with it. Also comes with that mulch plug there, and it's really, like I said, cleaned up really nice. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I really hate that the self-propelled does not work on it. And I took all this parts off of it. I don't know if y'all can see. Let me see if I can show you. So like, there's nothing under there anymore. Just a push mower. It's still fairly light to use. I mean, it's not crazy heavy. These decks aren't ridiculous. So and it rolls nice and easy. So cleaned it up. I ended up having a very small leak around the bowl gasket with this new carburetor that I put on, and I was able to get that fixed. The bowl gasket was trying to stretch on me, and so I just kind of shoved it in there, and it's been sitting for probably a good 3 hours, 3.5 hours now, and there are no leaks, and the gas is still in there, as you can see. So I'm just gonna try and start this thing up without priming. Sometimes these Tecumsehs will roll without priming. And got the oil change and the blade sharpened as well. So she's good to go. Again, now that I got the throttle linkage hooked up correctly, somebody didn't have it correct at first, and that's what really threw me off, and so I do apologize for that. One other thing that I did, I also sealed this hole off right here with some of that red gasket sealer, just so that it's not sucking any air in there, getting anything dirty in the carburetor, since the PVC is routed a different way on this engine. Yeah, so I let it run for a few minutes, and it did just fine. Took pictures of it, and we should be ready to go. All in all, we're gonna end up listing it for about $100. Since it's got a bagger, and it actually turned out to be fairly nice. I should be able to get around that for it. Probably will fetch anywhere between $80 and $100, which is fine with me. I've already flipped a couple of mowers that I got in this lot, and I still have a generator left, and I've already made my money back, and so I should make a decent amount here coming up. With the generator as well. I'll see if this generator's pretty rough. I'll see if I show that on the video or not. But been staying busy with these. And again, very similar to the one that I sold last year with the working self-propel. I got $140 for that one. So I don't even remember if that had a bag or not. Anyways, I'm sorry that I did not get the linkage correct for the first little bit. I hope y'all followed with me until I got it right. And now that we got everything right, we've got something that's going to be reliable for somebody and ready to roll. And really in good shape for it to be, what, 26 years old almost? Yeah, about. So that works out really well. Built better than anything that you could get today, for sure. Anyways, thank y'all again for watching. I appreciate y'all's support as always on these videos, even when I do plunder, like in this one in particular. But we got it fixed, we got it rolling, and I thank y'all for rolling with me on this what has turned out to be rather lengthy video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Ellis at ellismowers.com, or at ellismowers09 on Instagram and Facebook. And we've saved another mower from the grave. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Take care.